Johnson County Museum has an exhibit that commemorates the start of an evolution of American society. It is called the Turbulent Twenties. The year 1927 essentially marked the end of Victorian ideals in the United States, and once they were gone, pop culture was created and took over. And if pop culture took over, there would have to be relics of it placed in exhibits like this.
This year was the centennial of the end of World War I, and World War I and its end really brought about a new modern society that's recognizable today. Sort of marked a rite of passage, so to speak, in American history and culture, and everything that came before was very 1800s, very Victorian, had a very different feel, different expectations for life. After the end of World War I, and as we get into the 1920s, which this exhibit focuses on, we start to really see a different society, something that's more recognizable.
This exhibit certainly delivers, including but not limited to a phonograph, a film projector, a radio, and a reproduced poster for the first movie to ever win an Oscar, Wings. These artifacts were found by a collaborative effort between Johnson County and other museums to make an authentic experience.
So the objects on display here, some are from the Johnson County Museum's collection, but we actually worked with about 20 different museums and institutions across the area, the region, to bring in objects that fit the theme of the exhibit. And I'll say too, the images that you see throughout here, we have over 120 different images from, again, about 20 or 25 different institutions.
There's even a clarinet, which is fitting considering this was the height of the jazz age.
It is. That's a real clarinet from the 1920s, made, I believe, in Paris, and it's a wooden clarinet, unlike a lot of the plastic clarinets that we have today.
As a bonus to the music idea, there's a 1920s style radio that actually plays music so everyone in the exhibit can hear it.
So behind the radio that we have just behind us here, there's an iPod playing 1920s Kansas City jazz, actually all recordings made here in Kansas City of bands that played here in the Kansas City area. And that's all from the Mars Sound Archives at UMKC.
The 1920s were not without their hardships. Many children took absences from school due to the flu.
So the 1918, 1919, there was a major flu pandemic actually, went around the world, often referred to as the Spanish flu, although it actually started here in Kansas, in Haskell County, and spread to Camp Funston, which is part of Fort Riley. And we have on display a school book from Merriam Elementary School, and it records there were several days in 1918 when the students weren't able to come to school because there was a flu quarantine happening.
On the innovation side of things, the 1920s brought about a method of transportation still widely used today, the car.
One of the things in Johnson County that was really important in the 1920s was the proliferation of the automobile. We start to see the changeover, even in the countryside, from horse and buggy and carts and wagons to automobiles and trucks and early tractors. That really revolutionized agriculture, made Kansas City a much more available market for farmers in Johnson County, and we start to see highways and roads being constructed instead of dirt roads.
There are plenty of reasons to visit this fascinating look at a rite of passage. From the County Manager's Office, I'm Isaac Rankin.